Billionaire reveals heartwarming secret behind Housekeeper's touching journey with her daughter. Elena stood at the marble entryway of the sprawling mansion, mindlessly scrubbing the elegant floors as her thoughts drifted to Mia. It was just her and her daughter against the world, making the best of every moment. Each night, she would lay in bed with Mia, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of a nightlight, dreaming about college and a brighter future. It felt like a fragile dream, but the love they shared made it feel possible. "Elena, are you okay?" One of the wealthier homeowners snapped her back to reality. She blinked, her heart racing. "Just fine, ma'am," she said, forcing a smile. But inside, her heart ached. The chasm between their worlds felt like a heavy weight. With every paycheck, the hope for Mia's future seemed slightly more tangible. She always imagined giving her daughter the life she never had, the possibility of choices, education, a career that would allow them to rise above the harshness of their reality. Yet every day was a reminder that even the strongest hopes could be smothered by the burden of daily toil. One warm summer day, excitement buzzed through the community gathering where locals mingled with leaders. Elena felt out of her element until she bumped into Jack. In his tailored suit, with a confidence that dazzled those around him, he felt like a whirlwind. "Hi, I'm Jack," he said, flashing a smile that could light up the darkest room. Elena's heart raced, but she mustered her poise. I'm Elena." Their conversation danced between heartaches and dreams, both laid bare with vulnerability. As Jack listened, she revealed her daily struggles, her determination to provide for Mia, her belief in the power of education. Jack was taken in by her spirit, and something deep within him stirred. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from the channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let us continue. Over the next few weeks, Jack's heart drew him to the local initiative supporting single mothers, and he saw in Elena everything he admired. With each scholarship he funded, he envisioned the ripple effects on burgeoning lives. Meanwhile, Elena dove into night classes, reigniting her passion for learning. The sun setting through the classroom windows, she appeared radiant, a fire inside her she hadn't felt in years. Yet just as hope blossomed, shadows loomed. A PR crisis had erupted around Jack, threatening to tarnish the friendship he cherished with Elena. As disturbing headlines swirled, he faced a gut-wrenching choice: safeguard his reputation or risk it all for a connection deeper than wealth could afford. Amid the cacophony of voices questioning his integrity, Jack found solace in their shared moments. With trembling honesty, he confessed his fears, while Elena opened up about her prejudices against wealth. A fragile understanding wove the two lives together. The world watched, waiting, and their hearts raced as external pressures mounted. As dawn approached, pushing them closer to decisions that could change everything, Elena held Mia tight, whispering stories of hope. But as families rallied around Elena and Jack, each sharing their tales of sacrifice, the question vibrated in the air: would compassion prevail, or would the weight of expectations pull them apart? Time seemed to pause, leaving them on the brink. The morning sun shone brightly through the windows, casting warm rays across Elena's humble home. The scent of pancakes filled the air as Mia giggled while trying to flip one as Elena watched anxiously. "Careful, sweetheart. We don't want any pancake casualties," Elena teased, her heart swelling with joy. Moments like this felt precious, a treasure amidst the chaos of their lives. Yet outside, rumors circulated like wildfire about Jack. Every tap on Elena's phone a new notification, a message, something about a scandal snapped her back to harsh reality. She couldn't help but worry about him. What did this mean for the fragile connection they had built? That evening, as they settled down for their nightly routine, Mia nestled into her mother's side, holding her favorite stuffed animal close. "Mom, is Mr. Jack okay?" she asked, her innocence shimmering through her concern. The question hung in the air. It felt heavy but also filled with hope. Elena squeezed Mia tight. He's going through a tough time, like we all do sometimes. But he has a good heart. That's what matters, right? She offered a reassuring smile, though inside, doubt crept in, gnawing at the edges of her optimism. Days turned into a blur of media frenzy, and whispers at school began to shadow Mia. Children could be cruel, and one kid's words cut deep. Is your friend a bad guy too? Mia stood frozen, rejected by a choice she didn't make. That evening, storm clouds gathered outside, mirroring the thunder rumbling in Elena's heart. She couldn't shake her fear. Would they lose this connection to Jack? The man who symbolized a better future, determined to protect her daughter, she sought help from the local community center, hoping they would rally around her. A meeting was called, attended by many who understood the struggles of single parenting. Elena stood up, her voice shaking but resolute. Jack has been a force for good in our community. He supports us mothers, dreams of a brighter future for our kids. He deserves our support, too. As she spoke, Elena felt empowered. Her vulnerability was a bridge that connected her to these other women, and the air buzzed with understanding. Wives, mothers, and friends chimed in with stories of their challenges, sharing laughter and tears, forging a tighter bond. They spoke of resilience, the strength in community. Meanwhile, Jack was trying to navigate his own storm. Alone in his penthouse, with the view of the city spread out before him, the weight of expectation felt suffocating. He thought of Elena, her fierce spirit lighting up even the darkest corners of his mind. He grabbed his phone, fingers hovering over her number. Could he risk everything for this friendship? But as he hesitated, the media storm intensified around him. A headline appeared that threatened to demolish everything he stood for. Just as he was about to find his courage, a message flashed on his screen. Jack, we need to talk. It was from Elena. Heart pounding, Jack knew this was the moment of truth. Would she stand by him despite the headlines, or would the weight of the world pull them apart? He took a deep breath and replied, I'm here. Let us meet. The stakes were higher than they'd ever been. Both were on the brink of discovery, but what they were about to confront would either seal their bond or shatter it completely. Would compassion prevail, or would they be swept away by fear? As the clock ticked down, both Elena and Jack prepared for a confrontation that would change the course of their lives forever. How far would they go to protect each other when the world was against them? Elena sat on the edge of the couch, her hands trembling slightly as she picked at the frayed edges of her sweater. Mia was asleep, curled up in her little blanket fort, the gentle rise and fall of her chest soothing Elena's racing heart. The silence of the house wrapped around her like a cocoon, a stark contrast to the chaos swirling outside. The news had exploded with speculation about Jack, half-truths and bold exaggerations, each click and notification weighing her down like a stone wrapped in her gut. She looked at the clock, willing time to pause. They were supposed to meet in less than an hour. What would she say when she saw him? Would she comfort him or would she unleash her own fears? Each scenario played out in her mind, a tornado of emotions threatening to pull her under. The doorbell rang, startling her out of her thoughts. Her heart raced as she rose to answer. The moment she opened the door, she found Jack standing there, hair tousled and eyes shadowed by uncertainty. Seeing him like this so vulnerable pulled at her heart in ways she didn't expect. Hey, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Hey, Elena replied, stepping aside to let him enter. She tried to smile, and though it was shaky, it was real. The tension hung thick in the air as Jack stepped further into the living room, glancing around, taking in the cozy mess of Mia's toys and the bright kitchen that felt like a sanctuary compared to his own sterile apartment. Is Mia awake? He asked, the concern in his voice both sweet and disarming. No, she's already asleep, she said, gesturing toward the makeshift fort. She's had a long day. Jack nodded, his eyes dropping to the floor as he shuffled on his feet. The weight of it all seemed to crush him. Elena, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry about everything. I just wanted to be a friend to you and Mia. Now I feel like I've put a cloud over your lives. She moved closer, stepping into his space. Jack, it's not your fault. What's happening with you right now? It's the world's noise. But we don't have to let it drown us. His gaze lifted, meeting her uncertainty with his own. But what if they're right? What if it's too late to fix this? I don't believe they're right, she said firmly, feeling a surge of resolve wash over her. You've been part of our lives when we needed support the most. That hasn't changed. Jack searched her eyes, looking for reassurance. I can't let this affect Mia. What if the other kids at school? Mia cares more about who you are than what they say. She knows you care about her. Just be there for her, and everything will follow. An unexpected smile broke across his face, timid but genuine, lighting up the room. I hope so. They shared a moment of silence, an unspoken agreement hanging between them. The bond they had forged felt solid, woven with threads of empathy and trust that weathered storms differently from the chaos in the world outside. Let us fight this together, she said softly, grounding herself in hope. And just as warmth spread through her heart, a loud crash erupted from the kitchen. They both jumped, spinning toward the noise. What was that? Jack asked, urgency in his voice. Stay here. Elena shouted as she dashed towards the kitchen, adrenaline flooding her system. As she approached the doorway, dread nestled in her stomach. What if it was something serious? What if their fragile moment together was about to shatter along with the glass? Drawing in a shaky breath, she peeked around the corner, ready for whatever she would find. What she saw made her blood run cold. Something had broken that changed everything. Jack! She yelled, panic in her voice. He rushed in beside her, concern etched on his face. But as they surveyed the scene, an even deeper fear curled within Elena. What had happened now, and how would it affect them? The moment felt immense, a fracture in the fragile connection they had just started to mend. Elena's breath caught as she took in the kitchen. The shattered glass lay scattered across the floor, glinting under the soft overhead light. But it wasn't just that. On the countertop, a framed photo had been flung off during the ruckus, the picture of her, Mia, and Jack whispering happy memories that now felt bleak. Is everyone okay? Jack's voice sliced through her thoughts, urgency blending with worry. I think so, she murmured, stepping cautiously closer to the wreckage. A shard of glass crunched under her foot, and she winced. It must have fallen. It startled me, she added, guilt creeping in. Jack moved beside her, kneeling down to help gather the pieces. Let me do this, he said gently, his eyes remaining fixed on the mess. You shouldn't have to deal with this on top of everything else. She wasn't sure how to respond, feeling a mix of thankfulness and sadness. This feels like an ominous sign, doesn't it? Maybe. He looked at her, vulnerability in his gaze. Or just life being life. Messy and unpredictable. They began to collect the bigger pieces until the countertop was clear. Silence filled the room, heavy yet oddly comforting as they worked side by side. I just wish. Elena started, pausing to gather her thoughts. I just wish it didn't feel like all of this is happening at once. Between your situation and Mia's worries, everything feels like a storm. Jack stood, brushing off his hands. It could be the calm before the storm too. You have to let the rain fall sometimes. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. But what if it's too much? She questioned, looking up into his eyes, searching for an anchor. What if I can't be the strong one for both of you? For the record, you're already more than strong, he reassured her, a warmth breaking through the chill of their situation. We're in this together. You're not alone. Elena let out a shaky sigh, overwhelmed but hopeful. I just want Mia to be okay. She's so little, and I feel like I'm failing her. Jack moved closer, his presence grounding her. You're not failing. You're doing your best. That's what matters. Kids know love, they can feel it, and that's what will hold her together. Just like it's holding us. His words sank in, wrapping around her heart like a lifeline. You really believe that? I know it, he replied firmly, dropping his gaze to the broken picture frame. There was a strange understanding in that moment. Together, they had helped each other stand amidst the shattering pieces of their lives. Mia's soft laughter echoed from the living room as she stirred in her blanket fort, drawing Elena's attention. We need to get back to her, Elena said, a smile breaking through her exhaustion. She'll be waking up soon. As they rounded the corner, Elena felt a new resolve within her. Whatever the world threw at them next, they would face it together. Jack paused before the doorway, looking at her with intensity. You know, I never thought I could lean on anyone in times like these, especially with so much chaos around. But here we are. Here we are, she echoed, her heart swelling at the unexpected connection they had forged, even in the storm. Just then, a small hand poked out from the blanket fort. Mommy. Jack. Come play with me. Mia's voice rang through the room, the innocent sparking joy amid the chaos. Let us go, Elena said, laughter bubbling up. But beneath it, a shadow lingered. The storm outside wasn't done yet, and she could feel the world tightening its grip. As they entered the living room, a notification pinged on Jack's phone. He glanced at the screen and his expression changed. Elena, I need to show you something. An icy tendril of dread twisted through Elena's gut. Whatever awaited them could shift everything back to chaos. What had Jack discovered that could threaten the fragile peace they had found? Elena felt her heart drop as Jack turned the phone towards her. The bright screen cast an eerie glow against the room's warm tones. What could possibly be so urgent, so life-altering, that it had wiped the joy from his eyes? Look, he said, his voice steady but laced with an edge of concern. The message on his screen was clear. It's about the fundraising event, a charity gala. Mia's school had been gearing up for it for weeks. It was the kind of event that could either elevate the school's profile or send them spiraling into disaster if poorly executed. Yeah. What happened? She asked, doing her best to conceal her anxiety. They're short on volunteers and I just got a message from my mom, the head of the committee. She thinks I should step in. But they need office help, Jack, Elena replied, crossing her arms. This isn't just a little event, it's big. Not to mention I know, he cut in, pinching the bridge of his nose as he paced the room. But if I don't help, it could reflect poorly on me, on us. The more I think about it, the more it just feels awful to stand aside while everyone else puts in the effort. Elena's gut twisted. Jack had already been carrying so much. She wanted to support him but felt anger rising. What about Mia? We agreed to keep our weekends free for her. Why multiply the stress? Mia's laughter suddenly erupted from behind her fort, reminding them of their little girl's innocence. Jack hesitated, guilt washing over his face. You're right. I'm being selfish. But I can drop in for a few hours and still spend time with her, can't I? She studied him, battling the waves of frustration and concern. What if it turns into something more? Jack's shoulders slumped, the weight of his choices evident. What if the pressure gets to me and I can't be there for either of you? I just can't go back to that place where I felt like I was losing everything. He paced again, the unease radiating off him in palpable waves. She could feel a familiar knot tightening in her chest. The thought of Jack being overwhelmed made her heart ache. Then maybe we find a way to balance it. Could we maybe ask for help? His eyes lit up at the suggestion. Other parents? I could reach out. The hope was contagious, but Elena knew they couldn't rely solely on others either. Or we just need to be honest about our limits, she added, choosing her words carefully. With your mom, with Mia's school. We need to protect ourselves too. Jack nodded, visibly calming. You're right again. But I promise, I won't let this become another storm we can't navigate. Not again. The passion in his voice was reassuring, yet it didn't completely erase her worries. Elena could barely breathe when Mia peeked out from the blanket fort, her bright eyes sparkling with delight. "Can we go now, please? Playtime." "Just a minute, sweetie," Elena replied, kneeling down to meet her gaze. "Mommy and Jack are talking about something very important." Mia's little face scrunched up. "Why is it important?" Elena and Jack exchanged looks, and Jack grinned, kneeling down next to Elena. "Because it's about how we can help you have the best birthday ever." Mia squealed in delight, the worry in the air dissipating with her enthusiasm. But as laughter filled the room again, Elena felt the old shadows lurking at the edges of their joy. The stakes were high, and decisions loomed just out of reach. As Jack and Elena played along with Mia, a distant rumble of thunder reminded Elena that their peaceful bubble might be short-lived. What else is out there? She wondered to herself, a quiet dread in her heart. Could they really juggle everything: family, work, and the pressures growing just outside their front door? And what if the next storm wasn't just weather-related? As the playful banter lifted her spirit, she couldn't shake the thought of what new challenges were on the horizon. The sun slipped behind the clouds as the laughter faded, replaced by the soft patter of rain on the window. Mia dashed back into her fort, ready for another round of imagination-fueled adventures. Jack turned toward Elena, his expression serious again. "Should I send that message now? To the other parents?" he asked, uncertainty creeping back into his voice. Elena noticed how the light in his eyes dimmed with the question. The weight of their previous conversations hung heavily in the air. What if he put himself out there, and everything changed? What if he couldn't take the pressure as he feared? "Do you really want to?" she asked gently, reaching for his hand. "It's okay to take a step back, Jack." He sighed, rubbing his temples. "I feel the pull of responsibility, like I can't just let it go. But what if I'm just running away from my obligations?" Elena squeezed his hand, grounding him in the moment. "You're not running away. You're protecting what matters most us. We can't lose sight of each other in all this." Just then, Mia's voice chimed in from the fort, insisting on being the queen of a castle. The innocence in her tone seemed to break through the tension. Jack glanced back, a ghost of a smile touching his lips. "I'll reach out to them. Just a few lines," he decided, bolstered by the weight of her encouragement. "And if I find that it's too much after that, I'll listen. I promise." Relief washed over Elena, but as she dipped into the pot of assurance, something else bubbled to the surface. "And we need to keep communication open between us, too." He nodded slowly. "You're right. If I feel overwhelmed, I'll talk to you. We cannot let fear drive a wedge between us." Mia peeked her head out once more, an adorable pout forming. "Can we play now? I want to build a real castle. With towers." Jack chuckled and turned to Elena. "She has a point. We should take a break from adulting for a little while, right?" "Absolutely," Elena agreed, the weight in her chest lightening. "Let us do it." As they both crawled into the fort, the world outside faded into a distant murmur. The walls of blankets surrounded them, creating a cozy sanctuary where worries couldn't easily trespass. A moment of pure happiness enveloped them like a warm embrace. They built towers of cushions, and Mia insisted that each one held magical powers. Jack became the fearless knight, and Elena the wise queen, guiding her kingdom to victory over the imaginary dragons that lurked just beyond their fortress. But just as laughter filled the small space, the sky outside grew darker, and the wind picked up. A loud crack of thunder jolted them, and Elena felt the tension creep back in like an uninvited guest. "Mommy, I'm scared," Mia whispered, eyes wide as she clutched her doll tightly. Elena's heart raced. She glanced at Jack, who swiftly reassured Mia with a strong arm around her. "It's just a storm, kiddo. We're safe in here." As they tucked closer together, the echoes of the thunder rolled through the air. But beneath it all, Elena still sensed a different storm brewing in the shadows of their conversation. "Will we be okay?" She wondered silently, hugging Mia tighter. Jack's eyes met hers, and in that split second, an understanding passed between them. Outside forces might threaten their little bubble, but they would face whatever storms lay ahead together. But what if together wasn't enough this time? What if the winds did change everything? The question lingered as the storm raged on, a reminder that their biggest challenges were yet to come. The storm outside pounded relentlessly against the windows, each rumble of thunder echoing like a warning. In the comforting cocoon of the fort, Mia nestled close to her parents. With her doll still clutched tightly, she whispered, "Tell me a story, Mommy. A brave story." Elena gave Jack a look, the kind that said they were in this together. "Okay, how about the tale of the brave queen who faced a great storm?" She began, her voice soft yet steady. She wove a tale of resilience, depicting the queen as a figure of strength and care, one who didn't just endure the storm but sought to understand its rhythm and purpose. Jack watched Elena, feeling a swell of admiration for her ability to turn fear into inspiration. He smiled when Mia gasped at the moments of peril, her eyes dancing with hope and thrill. As Elena spoke, Jack's heart actually lightened, the weight he had felt so strongly before now a mere hue of worry painted over with love and family. As the story unfolded, a flash lit up the sky, and Elena's voice faltered for a moment. Mia squealed, pulling even closer to her parents. "Mommy! I don't want the queen to be scared." Elena, regaining her composure, continued on with conviction, "The queen found comfort in her knight, who reminded her that storms are temporary, and they can always rebuild." Jack took that cue to lean in, effectively becoming part of the story. That knight knew, no matter how fierce the winds blew, together, they could face anything, he added, intertwining bits of truth into their fantasy. Mia giggled, "So the knight would always save the day?" "Yes," Jack replied, his voice steady, "but sometimes, it's the queen who reminds the knight of the love that will always keep them strong." Elena felt her heart swell. Those words held the truth of their lives. Amid the raging storm outside, inside their fort, they were crafting their version of bravery, love, and comfort amidst the chaos, but suddenly, just as survival felt within reach, the lights flickered and went out, plunging them into near darkness. A wave of panic rolled through the room. Mia let out a whimper, grasping onto Jack's arm. Hey, it's just the storm," Jack said gently, pulling out his phone for light. "We've got this. We're the knights and queens of our own castle." Elena could see the slight tremble in Mia's lip, and it broke her heart. "Remember our brave story? How the queen faced the storm. We can do the same. We don't need the lights to be brave." Jack held up his illuminated screen, casting a small but warm glow around the fort. "Look, we've got our own source of light right here. And as long as we're together, we can face anything, including the biggest storm," he added, his eyes not leaving Elena's. Mia blinked up at them, her eyes shining like stars in the dimness. "I want to be brave like you too." Elena pulled her close, whispering, "You already are, sweetheart. It's okay to feel scared. Being brave means you keep going even when you are." As they huddled together, the outside chaos seemed to fade, replaced by the warmth of their shared heartbeat. But in the back of Elena's mind, questions swirled like the storm outside. What would tomorrow bring? Would their small fortress withstand the threats that loomed beyond? The thought gnawed at her, becoming more pronounced with each rumble of thunder. In this united front, would they truly have all they needed to weather the coming storms, or might that not be enough? And just as the rain seemed to quieten for a moment, the sudden ringing of Jack's phone shattered their temporary peace. They all froze, hearts racing, knowing that whatever awaited on the other end could carry with it news they weren't prepared for. "Should I answer?" Jack's voice was low but resolute. The room fell silent as the weight of uncertainty painted their faces. What could change in just one call? Jack stared at the flashing screen, the moment heavy with unspoken worries. Thoughts collided inside him. Who could be calling now? In the midst of the storm, when it felt like they were under siege in their own home, the intruding ring felt almost disrespectful. Jack. Elena's voice broke through his cloud of thought. Are you going to answer it? The tremor in her tone told him she too felt the weight of whatever news might come next. Mia clutched her doll tightly, eyes wide with innocent concern. The flickering phone light illuminated her face, creating shadows that danced around them like demons conjured from the depth of her imagination. Taking a breath, Jack reached for the phone, his fingers hesitating above the screen. It could be important, he finally said, forcing himself to sound more confident than he felt. It might be something about the house. The house had always been a point of tension, a financial burden they were barely managing. If anything happened to it or their plans, it would shake the very foundation of their future. He tapped the screen and brought the phone to his ear. Hello. Silence engulfed them as Jack listened, the tension palpable. He could feel both Elena and Mia's eyes on him, each heartbeat echoing a myriad of thoughts. Was it bad news? Another setback? The longer he stood there, the more uncertain the world felt. Really? Jack's tone shifted, curiosity sparking through worry. He glanced at Elena, whose brow was furrowed, anticipating the outcome. When? Jack paced within the confines of their fort, the words flooding in. They were distant but growing more distinct, like the rhythm of the storm outside. Each syllable weighed heavier than the last, dislodging a knot in his stomach that had been tied too tightly for too long. Elena exchanged glances with Mia, who whispered, "What is it, Daddy?" Jack raised a finger, shushing her softly, his focus only on the call. "Okay, I understand. Thank you for letting me know." As he hung up, the weight of the world shifted in that moment. He took a deep breath, trying to organize his thoughts. "It's about the house," he finally said, swaying slightly. "What happened?" Elena's voice held a mix of anxiety and determination. "They're going to postpone the auction. They found some irregularities, and they need time to sort it out." Mia's eyes lit up. "So we get to keep it? Our fort stays safe?" Jack blinked, processing the news. The thought had been so entangled with worry that it took time for the relief to wash over him. "Yes, baby. For now, I guess we get to keep everything in our castle." But the relief was only temporary. Jack felt an undertow of unease as the storm continued to roll outside, echoing a very different story brewing in his mind. "But it doesn't mean we're completely out of the woods," he admitted, his voice softening. "It's just a delay, not a solution." Elena's hand found his and squeezed tightly. "Then we work on solutions together." They all shared a long, quiet moment, feeling the gravity of the words hanging in the air, even as another rumble of thunder cut through their serene space. "Can we tell the story of the Queen again?" Mia's voice broke the tension, small but filled with hope. "Maybe the Queen can find a way to make things right." Jack and Elena exchanged smiles, warmed by their daughter's innocence. "Absolutely," Jack said, as he settled back down in their fort, ready to weave another tale nestled in love. But as Jack began to spin a new adventure about the Queen and her knight, the stillness outside shattered suddenly. A tree branch cracked against the window, making their hearts leap. And then, unmistakably, they heard a different sound, a voice, shouting from the street. Curiosity and concern masked their faces as they listened closely. Was it someone in trouble? Their hearts raced as they exchanged glances, knowing what they had to do next. Jack glanced at Elena, her expression a mix of worry and resolve. They both knew that whatever was happening outside could be related to the storm or something deeper that they hadn't yet grasped. "Stay here," Jack instructed softly, his voice barely rising above the wind. He carefully unzipped the makeshift blanket wall of their fort, peering out into the dimly lit street beyond. The shadows cast by flickering lamplights danced nervously as rain pounded the pavement like drums. Mia whispered, clutching her doll tighter as if it were a shield. "Jack, be careful," Elena urged, her voice trembling slightly. "I will," he said, trying to reassure her, though his own heart raced that he stepped outside, the chill nipping at his skin, and let the chaos of sounds wash over him, the storm howling, leaves rustling, and that voice a desperate plea cutting through the night. It was unmistakably a woman's voice, filled with urgency. He strained his ears, recognizing the words tumbling forth, "Help. Please." Without a second thought, Jack followed the sound, his instincts kicking in. The street was slick, crisscrossed with branches and debris, but he pressed on, his heart pounding hard against his ribcage. As he approached the source, he saw a figure crouched beside an overturned car, its headlights flickering like a dying star. It was a woman, soaked to the bone, her hair drenched and matted against her forehead. She clutched her arm, and Jack noticed the crimson stain spreading on her shirt. "Are you okay?" He called out, rushing the last few steps to her side. When she turned to look at him, her eyes were wide with panic, but they held an undercurrent of vulnerability too. "My daughter, she's in the back," she gasped, clearly having trouble keeping herself together. "We crashed. I can't get her out." A shiver ran down Jack's spine, the weight of the moment hit him hard. "Stay here, I'll get her." He hurried to the car, heart racing with each step. A four-door sedan lay on its side, glass shattered, its interior dark and foreboding. Jack took a deep breath, peering inside. "Is anyone there?" He called, but a small whimper came from the back seat. "Mommy." Jack's resolve solidified. He crawled through the window, shards crunching beneath his weight. There, in the shadows, he saw a tiny girl, no more than 6, straining to unbuckle her seatbelt. The sight of her frightened face tugged at Jack's heartstrings. "Hey, I'm here," he said softly, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm going to help you, okay?" The girl nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks, and Jack quickly unfastened the belt. "Can you climb up on my back?" She hesitated, glancing towards the small figure of her mother, who was desperately trying to shift herself closer by the car. "Mommy!" The girl cried out, reaching for her. "Your mommy is right here." "She's going to be okay," Jack assured her, feeling a weight of responsibility as he helped her clamber onto his back. "Let us go find her." As he crawled back out, adrenaline coursed through him, the storm pounding louder around them. Just as they got clear, a flash of lightning illuminated the scene, and Jack caught sight of Elena and Mia standing at the edges of the street, concern etched across their faces. "Jack!" Elena shouted, eyes wide. The little girl's cries pierced the air. "Mommy!" Jack hurried towards the frantic mother, who was still trying to inch towards them. "I have her," he called, taking the little one's hand and gently guiding her back. But just as they reached safety, an ominous sound echoed, a loud crack, followed by a crashing thud as a tree branch toppled, perilously close to them. Jack's heart dropped. "Run!" he shouted, pushing the little girl forward as he reached for her mother's arm. Fear flared in his chest, they were running out of time. As they fled towards their home, Jack couldn't shake the sinking feeling that something greater was looming over them, a storm that was not just outside, but in the hearts of everyone, both in the street and back in the safety of their fort. And as thunder rumbled, deep and foreboding, Jack couldn't escape. The question that hung heavily in the air: what other secrets awaited them, hidden behind the chaos of that night? As the rain lashed against the pavement, Jack felt a surge of determination mixed with urgency. Holding the trembling little girl's hand securely, he guided her and her mother towards the sanctuary of his home, their safe haven amidst the chaos unfolding outside. The storm's growl matched the urgency in Jack's heart, thudding in his chest like a war drum. "Stay close," Jack urged as they rounded the corner, catching sight of Elena and Mia, their faces alight with concern. Relief washed over him, a wave of warmth against the cold heavy rain. "Mama!" The little girl's high-pitched voice cut through the storm as she ran toward her mother. Jack's heart swelled seeing their reunion, but then it twisted painfully when he saw the mother's arm, bloodied and torn. Jack quickly turned his back to the reunion, wanting to shield Mia from the view. "Are you all okay?" Elena asked, her voice bright with concern as she rushed to Jack's side. "I think so," Jack replied, feeling the weight of the moment sink in. He glanced at the frightened little girl still clinging to his shirt, her small body trembling. Just a bit shaken. Elena crouched down, her voice softening. "Hey, sweetheart, what is your name?" "Lucy," the girl whimpered, glancing at her mother for reassurance. "Lucy, can you sit with us for a moment? We can all stay warm together," Elena said, reaching out her arms and inviting Lucy closer. As they huddled together, Jack's feet grounded in the tangible reality of family and community, one he never thought he would forge amidst the storms and struggles threatening to tear them apart. But even as strength swelled within him, uncertainty loomed over them all. Not long after, the mother stumbled closer, pain evident in her eyes. "I'm so sorry. Thank you. If it wasn't for you." She looked between Jack and Elena. "I don't know what I would have done. This storm came out of nowhere." "It's okay," Jack said, his voice steady despite the storm swirling inside his heart. "You did what you could, and we're all here now. Just sit with us for a while." Elena handed Lucy her favorite stuffed doll, a soft unicorn, and watched as the little girl hugged it like it was a lifeline, but beneath their shared smile, Jack felt the tether of uncertainty pull stronger. Reflecting on his own life and the turmoil surrounding his name, Jack realized how fragile their collective sense of safety felt. Each face in the gathering storm came with hidden burdens, and somehow, in that small circle, they bound together. Each drop of rain had the potential to wash away their fears or drown them in worry. The thunder rumbled softly, almost in agreement to the depth of feeling swirling in the air, but it can't hide the fear that danced in Jack's heart. "What I risk for this bond," he thought, glancing at Elena, who offered Lucy comfort, her fierce heart mirroring his. Lucy's mother began to tell stories of her own struggles, and slowly, they all shared laughter amidst the chaos. They built a fragile connect, weaving hope through their vulnerability under the blanket of the infinite stars hidden behind the clouds. They were more than just strangers drawn together by calamity, they were a makeshift family thrumming with the pulse of empathy. As the night wore on, they filled their hearts with joy, lifting each other's spirits while the storm continued to rage beyond their little bubble of warmth. Together they discovered that storms were not just weather, they were life. They could tear down walls or reveal true courage. And then something shifted. Jack felt the tension lift ever so slightly, and he sensed the radiant heart of community thrum in the air around them. Rising from that space, he turned to Elena, finding strength in her unwavering gaze. "Let us rebuild," he said softly. "Together." Elena nodded, a warm smile breaking through the shadows. "Yes. Together." The unity resonated in the brief silence, fiercely pushing back against any darkness that lingered. They weren't just two people in a storm anymore, they were partners, allies, and family. As dawn broke, the storm faded to a gentle drizzle, the fresh scent of rain lingering in the air, filled with the promise of new beginnings. Lucy's laugh echoed through the now brightening outdoor light. And as Jack stepped outside, he felt something shift deeply within him, a resolve born from facing trials together. The road ahead might still hold uncertainties, but with every branch they leaned upon, they would carve their journey safely, nurturing love, and rising through the chaos. "Let us heal," he declared softly, knowing that this newfound family bond would become their anchor amidst any storm, whether thunderous or gentle. And when Elena took Mia's hand, knowing they would face whatever awaited them, Jack felt the weight lift from his heart. They were ready for anything together. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support and fuel our passion for storytelling. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let the world know these stories matter. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. We can't wait to hear how it touched your heart. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans know the impact of supporting our journey.